name's Corinna. Again, I'm in my very sixth period. As you just saw, Kristen just did the first part of our video. I'm going to do the second part. Yay! Okay, first one. How have you grown as a learner as a result of reading this novel? Personally, I love The Lovely Bones. This book was beautifully written. It touched on so many different aspects of human life, as in death and dying. And I think it made you really think about what you're reading instead of just reading it. There were times when I had to reread parts of it because I didn't understand what they were talking about as a novel. So this book was really good to me. When I learned, growing as a reader, I felt like I said, you had to really read the book. You could not just say, oh, here's what happened. You actually had to dissect what the author was trying to say, because it wasn't a cut and dry novel. It was a novel where you really had to think about what they were saying in order to understand. What is the most important idea argument that was generated in course discussions pertaining to this novel, and can you explain the concept in your own words? My idea that I really think was really big in this novel was the concept of heaven. Most people think heaven is this beautiful place with pearly white gates and some other stuff, like angels or cherubs flying around. But in her heaven, in Susie's heaven, it was so many different other objects. She had like a little mini neighborhood built up. She made a new friend, an Asian friend at that. Just so different types of heavens were there. I think this concept was talked about because it is, I think I want to use the word paradox. I think that's right. It is a paradox because our heaven that we have grown to know is this place with fluffy clouds and a guy in a white dress with sandals and a halo saying, "Ah, you have been welcome, my child." So her heaven didn't look anything like that. And I think that goes into detail with one of the literary theories we talked about, is the modernism and postmodernism. And most people who wrote about heaven talked about the thing I just described, the pearly white gates and the moment. But her heaven was nothing like this. So we had to take that and really dissect what she was talking about and figure out, oh, maybe our heavens are not going to be pearly white gates. Maybe they're really going to be the type of heaven where you decide. Like for me, for instance, my heaven would be Broadway all the way, every single day, all the time, just because that's who I am. Whereas someone else's heaven may be an auto shop, because that's what they love to do. I think heaven is what we make it. And just like in the book, heaven depends on who you are as a person and what you've gone through while you were living. So I think that's what that is. Our third thing was, what are the values or beliefs that inform this idea argument? Oh, I just said that. Yeah, I just said that. So let's repeat myself. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going. So I think, like I said, it's just how we view our own heaven and how it's different from everybody else. 4. How do you think this issue is viewed by those who disagree? I think people of yesterday's generation, I think, those who haven't been exposed to, I don't want to say a higher level of thinking, but in a sense, yeah, that they would think that heaven is what they would read about in the Bible. And I'm not saying that heaven is not like you read in the Bible, but taking what I've said into consideration, how heaven is what you make it, and heaven is something that each person can decide on their own, I think that would make sense. So people who disagree with me would be, I think, people who grew up only knowing what heaven is because of what they've been told. How can you use what you've learned from this novel outside the four walls of our classroom? I think that this novel has really taught me that life is limited, and that we're not guaranteed every day. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 25 minutes of our life. We don't know because we're not God. So I think, that being said, this novel has really taught me that to live each moment, or to cherish each moment, and to not care about what you could have done, but just do it, because you never know. Okay, bye.
I remember when we broke up the first time, saying this is it, I've had enough, 'cause was like we hadn't seen each other